Sphere is something to consider. We all learned in school about a way of making sense of the world, which is called geometry. Yet all of that geometry happens only in here and is based on simply making statements about what a point is, what a line is, and so forth. And this is a very static and very lifeless geometry. And it is not much of a surprise that it leads down the river to a world that we have been wrecking as good or bad as we could. But how could we make sense of it all differently? Well, here is a way. And I'm gonna keep it simple and short this time around. If you want more depth, please check out fullerfeedback.systems and the more in-depth videos there. So this is how to practice spherical thinking. And it's not that hard to do, indeed. It's just it comes with a different starting point, because we start with the whole. Not with parts, but with the whole. And what is the whole? Ultimately, universe. And anybody we look at in universe, taken whole, contains or consists of both their inside and their outside. So rather than starting with a non-existing disembodied point, we begin with a point being the center of gravity or the heart of a sphere, just as this one here. Alright, so we can make three statements about this one sphere. There is a center of gravity, a heart, there is inside, and there is outside. And all of these three arise mutually from the very presence of the sphere. And the same is true for everybody else. Alright. Now bringing in another sphere into this game and having them connect up, let's emphasize the connection. Let's tune into that and make it a little bigger to look at it more clearly. So here is the connection between those two spheres. One sphere here, one sphere here. And this is the link between them. Now this link is a line, but this line is not one of division that goes on to infinity, purportedly straight, but this is a very well defined line of connection between the two hearts of these two spheres. And you see, it comes with its own center of gravity. It's another whole. We have here one sphere of this diameter. From its center of gravity we travel a radius to get to the halfway point of the line, and then we travel another radius into the heart of the other one. And with everything in synergetics or spherical thinking, we can say unity is plural and at minimum two. So here is a unit, a pair of spheres, and of course there is plurality within it. However, let's add yet another sphere like this one here, coming in, connecting up, and now we have a free relationship, two lines, and those two lines make an angle, and this angle is free to change. There's nothing there that defines this angle yet. Only by holding on to the ends here, I have most fine control over this angle, rather than trying to hold it here I'm going to the ends of these. Now if these two spheres also meet as such, suddenly something changes again, and we get from something that is free and moves without bounds to something that holds itself in shape and in place. So now we suddenly get an I. Why an I, you ask? Because bring together any kind of three spheres and you will still find a gap between them that you can look through. There is no surface there. To get a surface you have to increase the frequency, get many tiny eyes, so that you can't look through them anymore. But originally and indeed, in fact, there is no surface, no continuous surface here. There is, however, a plane, which you may be familiar from a tripod or a three-legged stool, which will never rock, however uneven the ground may be. It may tip over if the center of gravity moves over the edge of the triangle on the ground, but it will not rock away, whereas anybody with four legs will run away. Alright, now we have our triangle, and it's not just an I also like to call this specific triangle a left angle, as we are familiar with right angles being 90 degrees, whereas here all angles are 60, and we still have the left side to be naming something. So here is a left angle, and even though these three are holding one another in place, like this connection here holds that angle in place, they all three can still involute like so, or evolute like so, all together like a gear train. Alright, so let's see what we can keep adding to. We get another sphere and add that to the mix, and again we have the free kind of angle that we had before. Nothing new there. Yet another connection, and we get a pair of eyes. A pair of eyes is very nice, as it shows us both that this can still hinge and take off like a bird or a butterfly, but it also shows us the very polyform nature of reality, as even one triangle, once you unfold it, goes in two directions, hence it's polyform, rather than the idea of a square, which would be firstly not there. You see there is no square here, but also the square seems to be a uniform. It pretends it could tile the plane uniformly everywhere, which it won't, because there is no plane that is square. Here is again our pair of eyes, and what happens when those last two spheres here meet? Well, let's see. Let's add their connection. 1 and 2, and sphere we are again. Now we have the first sphere of spheres, the first time that these four spheres gather together to again bind with their membrane, their inside to their outside, and they have again a common center of gravity, and for the first time since the beginning all movement within this comes to a rest. Everything is held in place by one another. But mind you, this is not a static rest, this is not a lifeless rest. All of these positions are held actively. The moment I open anything, everything moves. Alright, here we have the four eyes. Why four eyes? Well, just count them. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And this is a quantum. This is the unit of perception within synergetics and spherical thinking. It is the quantum volume. It's the original volume, if you like. However, it does not need to be the end of the game, because we can just keep on going and connecting another sphere here. We get another line of relationship, which again we will connect with another corner, whichever one it wants to go to. Nope. How about there? Alright. Again, we have a hinge between these. And yet again, let's connect up these two. And we get 6 eyes. 6 eyes is nice. It's also 6 around 1, as there is a common eye in the middle. This is 2 quanta volume. Alright. Let's connect further and have yet another little sphere come in here. And it connects to one sphere. Boop. Disconnects again due to weight and reasons of magnetic fields and their personal favorite directionalities. Here we get our hinge again, and oh, not that one, that one. Here we have 3 quanta worth of volume. This is 3 4 eyes in an arc, which is the origin of the tetrahelix. That's a story for another day. These 3, well, they can still show us something. We still have only 6 spheres present, yes? There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. But watch this. If I'm actually taking out this connection here and put it back in between this sphere and that, watch what happens. Remember, this is 3 quanta volume, and connecting that up, we get the 8 eyes. And the 8 eyes, it turns out, is not just a complementary to the 4 eyes, meaning similarly to the polyform nature of the triangle itself, which unfolds in at least 2 directions, the volume of space-time is complementarily made up of 4 eyes and 8 eyes, as the 8 eyes is the gap between 4 spheres. So here we have set 8 eyes, and this 8 eyes, it turns out, has a volume of 4 quanta. So just to recall, before I moved that one connection from its place that it had a moment ago to where it is now, when it was still in this direction, we had 3 quanta, yes? And once this connection, nope, there's one that doesn't really want to link up. Come on, magnetics. Once that one connection goes in this way, we actually have a volume of 4 quanta. So that's a quantum leap. We do not change anything about this whole structure except for the orientation of one connection. And And what we get by reorienting that one connection is a whole quantum volume that just appears out of nowhere. How amazing. Well, that is only just the first 6 spheres and their belonging and interplay. There is so much more to say, and I have said much more, and I can tell you everything you want to know. But this, in its own right, to my mind, is a very, very good place to begin to remember the living and breathing, animate geometry of our universe, so that we can free our minds from the traps that they've been held in, the cages and boxes of old that tell us something about geometry without ever going beyond the surface. This superficial, ancient, sacred or pure geometry of old is not capable of telling us anything about reality, because it has digressed from reality from the very moment of its inception. That is why it is abstraction. Abstraction is to take away a channel of water from a river. And the river we have been taken away by means of geometry's abstraction is the river of reality. But only just because we took our minds off reality doesn't mean we couldn't get back. The river is still flowing, and we can just get back into it and learn its ways so that we may shape its direction and its trajectory. Because if we do so, when we do so, we are moving in integrity with the whole of the universe. Not at any moment within this look at this have we left the whole behind. We have never looked at a part, not once. All we looked at was members that we could remember into another membrane, into another being, another body. And all we've done here was to make the whole wholer. So please take this with you. Wrap your mind around, make it your own. Go ahead, get your hands onto spheres and play with them, as they can teach you so much about who we really are, being identical with the whole of universe, as we are not separate. Our skin is a boundary binding what lies without and within. It is both of those that makes the whole. And never ever believe you're anything less than that. So with that, much gratitude to you for listening, and may you engage with this, and may the way of the spheres invite you, draw you in, and take you to places you never thought possible. Peace.